When I walk into the stadium in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil with the South Sudanese flag, it was huge. I feel like the entire country was on my shoulder. And all of those 8 years since actually started since I went into college in my freshman year in 2005. That's when I started that kind of journey mentality. And all I can see is the South Sudan. I can see the South Sudan. All I'm doing it every single day. Even when I'm studying, I can see it. I have to do something for the South Sudan. So when I got that opportunity to be able to walk into the stadium has a flag barrier, that was it. It was a huge, I cannot describe this as a moment will live with me for the rest of my life.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Arts Across America. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Jasmine Mans. We are excited to speak with Guor Maker about his journey as a South Sudanese Olympian.
Arts Across America continues this summer with a focus on cultural leadership and public healing. Topics include art for healing, decolonization, and art as a catalyst for change. We'll explore artistic contributions from the Black trans theater community, learn about sacrifice zones in the environment, fight for women's rights in the Latinx community, discuss the prison and detention center system, and hear about the importance of indigenous food and health, plus much more. We will witness performances and conversations as we join together in healing our community and ourselves. I would like to welcome Jason Reynolds. Washington, D.C. native, Jason is a New York Times best-selling author of novels and poetry for young adults and the current national ambassador for young people's literature.
And I would like to welcome my co-host, Jasmine Mans. Jasmine is a Black American poet, performance artist from Newark, New Jersey. We also would like to acknowledge that we are standing on the traditional land of the Nacotchtank and Piscataway peoples, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations. When he was only 8, Guor Mading Maker, formerly known as Guor Marial, ran from captivity in war-torn Sudan to eventually seek safety in the U.S. In his new life, Maker began running again, participating in high school track and field, and eventually becoming a sensation and qualifying for the 2012 Olympics. But because the newly formed South Sudan was not recognized by the International Olympic Committee, Maker had to fight to compete independently, refusing to run for Sudan and taking a stand against its oppression. Runner depicts Maker's difficult and triumphant journey from refugee to world-renowned athlete, told in intimate interviews with gorgeously animated flashbacks of Guor's upbringing and culminating in a heart-wrenching reunion with his parents after a 20-year separation. Guor, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to chat with you guys today. I am looking forward to our conversation.
It's weird because I almost feel like I'm talking to like a real life superhero. It's like, you know what I mean? It makes you think about, honestly, without being disrespectful or dismissive of your life, it does make me sometimes think that I haven't been through anything, right? It's like the things that I have the things that feel weighted in my life don't feel as weighted when I think about people like you who have sustained and have survived and have thrived so much in yours. So first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for not for being here in this space, but thank you for being on the planet, brother. We appreciate you. We appreciate your fight, your discipline, and your persistence to live, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's so interesting because as I kind of scrambled through your interviews, everybody does refer to you as a superhero or the American dream. What do you feel about those words?
Well, I always say that I leave everything for people to analyze and to take it. Watching their story, I always allow them to draw their conclusion and mean and categorize me to the way they see me on the video and understand my story. But I always say that I am not unique. All of us are going through a lot. All of us, each and every one of us, has something, has some story, and that story might not we might not know about it, but all of us are struggling. So when people say I am a hero, I inspire people, I always say thank you, but you actually inspire me. You the one watching the video. You the one who is telling me that I am a hero. You actually inspire me because without you, I would not have done it. And my story just one of those million of stories. And whether you live in the US, you live elsewhere, there is always issues that we are facing. And that issues are just like mine. But mine just happened to be on the surface of all of it. But hopefully my story will uncover all the story underneath. And so I let people see my story and see if they can relate that and or at least discover what they are feeling or what they're struggling with. And hopefully they can use my story to inspire them to overcome whatever challenge they are facing.
You know, I have there. I mean, I'm sure Jasmine and I both have so many questions that we want to ask you, but I'm actually going to start in a strange place because I'm a mama's boy, like big time. Like it's a lot, honestly, and I wonder what it's like having not been around your folks, your parents, for so long, and what it was like when you got to reconnect with them after 2 decades.
Man, I'm telling you, it was not easy. And I always say that no family should go through all of this. All of us are mama boy, man. It's hard to miss you to leave your mom for that long, and to the point that to reach to the point your mom doesn't even recognize you, and you cannot even recognize your mom. It's very challenging, and I think all of us have gone through it. Going back after 20 years and be able to see home as the way I left when I was a little boy. It was heartbreaking the most. I thought that was something that needed to be changed. It was very heartbreaking and very painful to see my mom falling on the ground and not be able because she fell on the ground because she did not recognize me in the first place when she was walking toward me, until a person behind me yelled, "That is Guor walking toward you." When you see like that, it's unbelievable. It's nothing can describe it. And I just let people see the video and see. Hopefully, they can use that and change their life. And hopefully, the family will look into that and said, you know what? It's not worth it to break the family apart. Even a separation of the family, not by war, by economic or a divorce. All of this is very traumatized for a child and for the mother especially. Mother is most traumatized than the father. It's so when you see if you guys see the pattern, my dad meeting me and my mom meeting me, it was completely the two different. So it's amazing. But after 20 years, I was blessed that I went back and found them. They are still alive. There's some of us and some of the refugees in Syria, all of them went back and did not get their family. So I was blessed that they are still alive and I still talk to them today.
Everybody out there with a mother, call your mama. It ain't that serious. Whatever it is, it ain't that serious.
I have a friend who just recently went home to meet her mother for the first time, and she's 30. And you realize that there are so many people who came to this country who are, and now are adults, living with and asking themselves questions of how did I get here? And with you, running is a literal thing, but it's also deeply metaphorical. Tell us a little bit about your first memory of running.
My first memory was in high school when I was introduced to the track by my gym teacher. He introduced me to the track and said, "Hey, I see you really active in the gym and you cannot get tired. So there's something can make you tired, and this something is called track, and you can run." And I told him, no. There's no such thing as called running for me. I run so much in my life. Right now, I just wanted to enjoy myself and focus and work and go to school so I can support my family. But again, he persists, and he said that you have to do this, and he introduced me to the track coach, and that was of it. So be able to look back and look at the running back home and the running that I was doing there. First, it was to go there and learn English, make friends in high school. But then when I won a national championship in high school, that's when everything switched to different. This is reality. This is real. It's no longer, I'm not running for my life now. And instead of running for my life, I can run for other people so other people can benefit and hopefully can get me to. At that time, I didn't know whether this is going to get me to full scholarship for the college, but my coach had talked about it. My gym teacher said, hey, this could be a potential for your success. This would be good for your success. So I took that and I followed their advice and continued with running. But the way the memory became is when I went to London 2012. That's when I realized that this was real, and it became reality. So that's a memory I can, and also the Rio Brazil as well. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but those are the where I can see the running become a big deal to me.
So let's stay there. What was it like, man? So listen, I ran. I ran in school. I've written about running. Like, this is my jam, right?
Mm.
But the farthest I got was like pin relays. You know, I never. What is it like to be at the Olympics? What was it like knowing where you come from, knowing what you've been through, and all of a sudden the world is watching, and there you are on the world stage, from the very thing that, and this is what I'm always baffled by, the very thing instinctively that saved your life became that the thing once trained made your life.
I know.
And it's an amazing thing to think
It
about.
was unreal. Walking into that stadium was unreal. Even though I was a single single athlete with my manager, we were only the team, the smallest team ever in the Olympic history. But I think again, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was an amazing feeling, especially when I aligned in the marathon and run that course and see South Sudanese lining up, waving their flag, even though I was not running for the South Sudan, I was running independent. It was amazing. It's something hard to describe to someone who never been there, but the feeling of Olympics is unbelievable. To even make it more interesting is when I walk into the stadium in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil with the South Sudanese flag. It was huge. I feel like the entire country was on my shoulder. And all of those 8 years since actually started since I went into college in my freshman year in 2005. That's when I started that kind of journey mentality. And all I can see is the South Sudan. I can see the South Sudan. All I'm doing is every single day, even when I'm studying, I can see it. I have to do something for the South Sudan. So when I got that opportunity to be able to walk into the stadium has a flag barrier, that was it. It was a huge. I cannot describe this as a moment will live with me for the rest of my life. And I hope the kid in the village saw that, and all over the world, and saw South Sudanese saw. Okay, I can do something too. It's hard to describe how you feel, especially when you're the one given opportunity to make that happen. It's more pressure than just a regular athlete who is going to the Olympics to just compete and represent his own country without having another agenda to complete to fulfill. And this was the two things: I need to compete, but the most important thing, I need to bring the country into the world stage. So that was a big pressure. Yeah, but it was rewarding too at the same time. I'm proud. I was proud of it, and I hope all the kids in the village may have seen it. Which I was able to watch the video later on. A lot of kids, they were so excited. And now we have a ton of athletes in South Sudan, and some of them are training in Japan, in Kenya, in Uganda, just because of that small step.
I've never actually heard about anyone going to the Olympics independently. Um, until your story, can you tell us a bit about that entire process?
It was better complicated. It was it was better complicated. Even the Olympics themselves, Olympic Committee, didn't know what to do until this story broke into the media. Um, that's when the top official of the Olympic Committee, IOC, in this case, International Olympic Committee, realized that look, we have to do something. This guy made a time, and then now the only thing preventing him from going to the Olympics is because of nationality. And we cannot discriminate because the Olympics states that it's the the message or the purpose of the Olympics is to give every single athlete who qualified the opportunity. And so this individual doesn't have the nationality. We have to create something to make him get this opportunity. So what they end up doing, they end up meeting, and from there they were able to grant me opportunity. There are a couple of athletes went before without they had a country. The only missing was their country did not have a federation. Me, on the other hand, I was not a South Sudanese citizen, nor I was a U.S. citizen. I had a U.S. green card, but I did not have a citizen. South Sudan is split it after I was here. So in paper, it disqualified me to be a South Sudanese. It put me to be a Sudanese, but it was not, to me, it was against my will to run for the country that I refuged from. So the Olympic Committee left with nothing but to say, we have to make this happen. We have to make a change. And that is how they went ahead and do that process. And Rio and Brazil, they end up actually creating the refugee team. And right now that is a refugee team. So every Olympic from now on, there is going to be a refugee team are going to the Olympics. So that is how it started at first. But it was tough before that. So I did not make it actually to the opening ceremony. I arrived 3 days after the opening ceremony because my thing came out. I was granted the opportunity 5 days before the Olympics is opening. So that was a process. Yeah, it was a process. The first, I reach out to the Olympics when I qualify and I say, hey, I don't have a country, and this is a situation. South Sudan doesn't have a federation right now, and I am not South Sudanese citizen, but I would like to get this opportunity to run for to represent South Sudan. And they said, no, South Sudan is not a federation. There is no federation. It's just a newly formed nation. So the only thing you can do is we can accept you through Sudan, because the South Sudan and the Olympics, the South Sudan at the time, the IOC thought that South Sudan is still under the Sudan Olympics. And I asked them that no, once the nation is already being recognized by the international community, that nation is independent with all their entities. That's it. South Sudan is not still under the Northern Sudan. So to take me, and I am a refugee of that country, there's no way. My country right now got independent. Since my country doesn't have a federation yet, then let me compete because I make the time. So there was a lot of block until the story broke out in the media, and that's when it was awakening to everybody. Even the United States Congress, actually, they went and presented this story in the Congress at the Senate hearing. One of my senator in New Hampshire went there and presented this statement in the Senate floor and sent a letter to IOC. The South Sudan president sent a letter to IOC. A couple Senate in the U.S. here sent a letter to IOC, and within 24 hours, everything was granted. And it was a collective of effort from pretty much all over the world, and that's how this became to be. And from there, they start in the Rio. They change everything. So that's how it happened. But it wasn't an easy thing. But it was a blessing to be the first one to have that opportunity. But the most important that it did open the doors to those refugees who were not able to before that.
It's so interesting because you said politics divide people and sports bring people together. Um, but then we're living in a time in America where you see sports and politics colliding. And for me personally, I don't know much about sports. Like I don't follow sports too deeply, but I do know politics, and that's how I know of sports. And so, what do you feel when you see those narratives, those worlds colliding, and it causing great division like it has in these last like 3 years?
I do think it's really unfortunate because the message of sport is there's no discrimination. But again, there is some discrimination in some of the sport, but it's when it becomes a politics. A sport purely is supposed to unite people. But once the leader of who are controlling that sport uses sport to gain their own interest, that's when it becomes so politics, and that's when it just divide people. But the way I looked at it, and the analogies I use is a South African. Uh, South African, I use it as an example. When Nelson Mandela got out in prison, Africa was a fragile country. It was big division. There was so segregation. But when he got out, the South African thought that Nelson Mandela is going to be president and is going to chase out the Dutch, right, in their land. But when he got out, he focused on one thing. He used the rugby team. He went to the rugby team game and he used the rugby team to unite people. He supported the rugby team all the way to the national championship. When the South Africans saw that, the day they won the championship, the police on the street that was beating up this little boy, they started hugging each other, and everyone started celebrating. You see, that is a good intention right there. When a leader uses sport to unite people without the politics behind it, that's when the sport becomes unity, just like in music and in everything. But once you use it as in a political way, or you include the politics, or you intertwine them, that's when the issue, and that's when it start confusing the society, and people start following whoever's saying what. And I think it's really really sad. I think these two should be isolated. Yes, the athletes themselves, they have a voice. They have a voice to say something that is concerning them within the society they came from. Because at the end of the day, they all belong to the society and they're the member of a society. So if they see issue going on in the society, they will raise their voice. And that doesn't mean they are political or they're doing something bad. They're just raising their voice for their concern. Again, some people are going to hate this one, but at the end of the day, they're human and they want a good thing for their own people. So it's a very little interesting thing to look at it, but in general, the way I look at it is sport at all the time it's going to unite people. Because if you are someone, if you have a political difference and you go to the game and you're supporting the same team, if your team win, you're going to be celebrating. You're going to forget what happened down the road until you go back to your own home. That's when you start thinking about, okay, now I have enemy with this person. Olympics is a good example. Right now, sometimes Russia and US, they don't see eye to eye. China and US, sometimes they don't see eye to eye in political perspective. But in the sport perspective, when they go to the Olympics, they compete side by side. They staying side by side, they eat in the same cafeteria, and they're competing. They unite. So when you look at it like that, if we can have that mentality to using the sport to unite people, I think world would be a peaceful place as opposed to be a dividing place. That's how I look at sport.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the history of the Olympics, like from the very beginning.
Yes.
I mean, that was the purpose of it, was to cease war, right? For a moment, they would stop fighting war and be like, we're not going to kill each other. We're just going to race, right? And like, that was a real thing. It was like, no more killing. Let's just race for like a week or two, and then we'll figure out what's next. And that's that's like really what the Olympics was at first. It was like, I don't want to have to, like, we need a break from war, and this is what we'll use right? And
Yes.
it became a global phenomenon over time for every single country to sort of exert their physical prowess without hurting another country. And
Exactly.
that's an amazing thing. I want to know though what it meant to you individually, right? I, as someone who did do the sport that you did, who did run, I learned a lot about myself, you know. And I guess my question to you is, what do you think you learned as a runner that you think other people can apply to their lives?
I think I learned to respect one another, to give the other person respect, treat the other person like I be treated. And I learned a lot that living, competing with the respect, it's a good thing. That the other person, when you're competing with, in the other word, first of all, it's what gave me a lot of appreciation of how the other's culture works and how the other athletes work. So it's made me visit, travel a lot all over the world and see a different culture and appreciate it, how the unique way other people treat each other or how they lived. So that's kind of give me a good idea of what I learned from it. That's what I gained from the sport basically, and it helped me myself internally heal myself. Every time I have something, I would go out and run. That is a pleasure to me, and I go I run with different. I met a lot of different people from all over the world. My most friends are not my immediate community. They're pretty much all over the world. And through a sport, I was able to gain that opportunity. And I think if people can apply that, it's okay to work with other person. It's okay to be open. It's okay to respect each other. It's okay to appreciate where the other person is. You don't have to believe or you don't have to go where the other person is doing, but as long as you respect them, you're actually going to live comfortable. You're going to be okay with that person. Than objecting or judge other person. If I see when I was in Olympic, the two Olympics I win, I would see the guy from different country or let's say from Kenya. It's okay. Yes, we have a competition when we are lining up. We're competing because I want to beat them and they wanted to beat me. But it's when after the race, I respect them, they respect me. That is a good thing. And we go and eat, it's all good. I think I learned that kind of neutral respect. And I think if you care that, you apply that in your life, even in your coworker or whoever, someone from different race and all of that, if you respect them, all of that, I think everything would be okay. And that is what I took away from it: respect, neutral respect.
I, I was watching something and somebody was asking like, you went through so much and what did you do with all of that pain and all of that suffering? And you said something to the extent of like, it's what you do with the suffering and what you do with the pain
Mhm.
that makes you who you are.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was profound. And it's something very interesting about you because it's just like you have an incredible dynamic life. Like you're an airman, you were in the Olympics, yet you and you're a man sitting here, for lack of better words. And it's really like hitting me like the humility of like you really said like everybody has pain, everybody has suffered, everybody has been through something, but it's not the same. And I keep in my head, I'm like, it's not the same. I want you to speak to the moment when you realize that you could make something out of your suffering. You said specifically like I would pass that pain down to my kid, and that's not something that you wanted. When did you realize that you could transform suffering?
I realized when I lost my brother in 2002. And I walked into my coach's office and I told him, I said, my running career is over. My high school running is over. I have to go. I just lost my brother and I have to go and work so I can support my family because my brother was the only one at home. Elderly brother was supporting my family. And when he sat me down, he said, no, you're not going to do that. Yes, I cannot relate. I can't imagine what you're going through. But right now, I want you to sit down and think about it, the decision you're about to make. You can walk out now, you can quit the team, and you can go and work in McDonald's. But you're going to be still in 20 years not able to support your family. But if you can focus now and train, you can get a scholarship to go to university. I cannot pay, he said, I cannot pay for you. Your uncle will not pay for your college. But yourself, the talent you have right now will pay. So I went back home and think about it. And when I look at it, I was in a deep, deep pain. And that's when my mind switched. So there's nothing I can do. My brother's already passed. There's nothing I can do. All the thing I went through, leaving at a young age, seeing some of my sibling moving on, there's nothing I can do but to turn this pain and put it into purpose. And when I put it into purpose, it's going to drive me the most. But if I make this pain, allow this pain to drag me down, that's when I'm going to go into the drain. But if I change this pain and go through it, this is the only way I can open the door for my family. This is the best way I can support my family. Yes, there might be suffering for these years that I am in college, but let me do this. And that's when I switch it off. And from going from doing it for the family, then the country came into being. Because my family alone is not enough, because there are so many of my family across the South Sudan who are just like that. There's so many family, just like my family in the refugee camp in Syria and those places, just like that. So if I can do this, just take it step at a time, getting up every morning, put on my shoes with that pain and go and run, this pain will push into something. And that pain became a driving force to my everyday, even going to class, even when I take the exam. It's that pain that I want to be better. I wanted to change the life that I came from. I wanted to change it so other people can see it. That suffering, you cannot let the suffering take over you. You're gonna use that suffering. It's a good lesson, but you're gonna use it to drive to something and to be successful in something. So when you look back, you're gonna say, okay, you know what? I was in these shoes, but I refuse for my kid to go in these shoes. I refuse for a child in the community to go through this. Or I refuse for a family to go through this. And if I can do this, hopefully the world will see it and try to make a change. That was the whole idea. So that's how I turned my suffering into that. And I'm still grinding. I'm still pushing. Every single day I'm still pushing because I want it better for a community, not just for my family, but people who are disadvantaged and people who are hopeless, to see that don't let a suffering take over you. Use it for good and use it for to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
I'm going to ask you something I never really get to ask people. So, I'm a born and bred Black American,
Mm-hmm.
which means a lot, which means many, many things. It's a complicated identity, What was it like for you to come here? Like, what I'm always so fascinated by, maybe fascinated isn't the word, but I think the immigrant story, the refugee story, is a story that I never actually will know. And so I'm always really, my family doesn't know it either, right? We don't have any, that's not our story. And so I'm always just really interested in to know, what was it like when you touched down here in the United States? What was it like to sort of settle into American culture? Like, what has your experience been?
It was tough. Tough in a way that it was culture shocking. I did not know English, was totally confused where I was going. We flew into New York. We landed in JFK. The airport looked like it was massive airport. Everything, people were going like this. It was like illusion kind of feeling, Everyone is running, and I keep saying, why people are moving like this? And I hear everyone is talking like they're talking through their nose and all of that. So I'm like, damn, why these people? And I see everything is white, People are what? I don't see it, except the only people I will see are those are workers who are carrying bags. I can see they look like me, and my mind was just flying all over the place. But I was with my uncle. My uncle was just okay. Yeah, this is U.S. and this is how it is and all of that. You see, those people are working there. They're like this. So he's pretty much translating everything to us. We flew there to New Hampshire. We connected to New Hampshire. We landed there at night. Everything that was light everywhere. You know, they took us to a small town. It's called Laconia, New Hampshire, way up north of New Hampshire. We settled there. So there was woke up next day. Everything was pretty much it was green and all of that, but we did not come to reality until we started school. That's when it became a big deal. That's when it hit us the most. We were only probably my cousin, myself. We were only black kids in the entire school. That's when the trauma started. That's when it became reality that I am in foreign land now. Not knowing what the kids around me are talking about, all of that, that was a big deal. So it was a culture shock, and the food was not tasty. It was just completely. I was trying McDonald's. It was a little bit tasty, but it ended up to be hectic to me. So everything was complicated. And then right away we moved to Concord, New Hampshire. Again, we were only black kids in this school, so everything was just chaos, and it was a challenge after challenge, challenge after challenge, because you cannot relate to anybody, and no matter how you feel, no one is going to relate to you. What are you feeling? But again, what I have done is just focus on what I need to do. Basically, school. I need to focus because the way I came from, this is opportunity. I could see opportunity everywhere. If I do this, I think I can be like that person. I can be and so and so. So every time I see a person who's like a teacher or coaches or all of that, say, you know what? If they can do it, why not me? I exclude my skin color, everything. I was just focusing on I gotta achieve that. Whatever they are doing, I gotta do it, and that was what drive me the most. And as far as just being on the street and all of that, it was tough. I got a couple of for filing, all of that. It was tough. And I didn't realize that. That's when I realized that I am a black man in foreign land. A black kid that can be a victim at any given time. And so it was challenging. But again, a human life.
To our delight, we have a film that is about your life, and so we get to bring you into our homes, and we get to use your life as a model of how to get past suffering and how to heal, and how to, and just a mirror of what triumph looks like. So thank you. But what do you hope your piece does for the world?
I just hope that people will look at it, watch it, and not look at it. This is just a Guor Maker story with his own family. This kid has been away for 20 years and all that. I just hope people will look at it and say, wow, how that relate to me, and try to see their own internal, their own family. Not look at Guor Maker's story, but look at your own internal family. How would you use that story to change whatever is bothering you internally? How would you use it to make sure that your family don't go through that? To make sure your community, a family, your community don't go through that. To make sure your country don't go through that. To make sure the world don't go through that. That is what I would hope people to take it. Not to me. Don't feel bad for me. Don't feel bad for my family. I use my family privacy to show the world. These are the real things that every single family in every corner of the world is facing. It's not those on a war zone. It's those actually who have a wealth, who are sitting in their home, who are driving luxury car. These kind of things actually are bothering them. And if they can discover those one and use my story to change those, to fix those, When they fix that, they're going to fix their neighbor, they're going to fix their city, they're going to fix their state, they're going to fix their country, they're going to fix their world. So whatever step they can take, because they saw my story, it will make a change. That's what I would hope people to take away from that, to my story.
Thank you so much for being here, brother, and for spending some time with us. We are forever grateful and most likely forever changed. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you guys. Please continue to make a change. Whatever you do, just know that it doesn't stop there where you meant it to be. It's going to go far. So whatever you do, just make sure there are other kids who are watching you and you're the role model for them. That's very, very important. And that's what I use, that what I'm doing is not me. Whatever we all do is not for us. It's for those who are follow us and those who will come after us. And whatever door of opportunity we can open to those kids, that's what's going to make the world a better place.
Thank you for watching Arts Across America.
And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce you all to the trailer of the great Guor Maker's Runner.
If there's one thing that unifies a fractious country, it's sporting heroes.
He's had the weight of his country on his shoulders for how long? Can he get that weight off?
So you basically outran your captors.
When I left Sudan, I said I will never run again.
South Sudan as a region has been at war for over 50 years.
My parents, they had to make a choice. Do we want to let the child die in front of us, or do we want to send it somewhere?
When did you last see your family?
Was there ever a time where running was a way to escape from the past?
Can you tell us when you arrived in America?
It was mid-quarter. I asked him if he ever ran before, and he said didn't know it was a sport.
And he said, "Are you ready to run?" I said, "To run where?"
And then after that, it was just championships, wins, just took off from there. Eventually, it kind of dawned on me, like, he's got deep down stuff.
The guys, my teammate, I could laugh with them, but inside me, my heart is always in fire because of the situation back home.
The civil war in Sudan has killed more than 2 million people.
The people of Sudan will vote on whether the nation should split into...
This is the birth of a new nation.
I have to do something. I'm running, but something in my mind said, Olympic 2012.
For Guor, he was running his first marathon. His goal was to qualify for the Olympics.
It's going to give me opportunity. It's a ticket.
There was this guy who suddenly was turning in good times in marathons and didn't actually have a country that he was running for.
2 years after independence, a civil war started.
Instead of eliminating one another, we should be using one another to build a country in a peaceful way.
He will be a unifying figure for South Sudan, and his success will be our success.
I have come too far. I'm not backing down. I'm not backing down, and I'm pushing it until the last minute. If I cross that finishing line, it's not going to be me, the people of South Sudan.
We need a person like Guor Marial.
I got this chance. God brought me all the way here. That's why I take me every single day, put the shoes on, and run.